I'm Jen from Wood and Word Blooms, and today we're going to create a little reindeer ornament with flower crown. Now, what color you paint your reindeer, totally up to you. I'm going to be using the backside of my reindeer because I accidentally sold all of my wood blanks for this one, and we're going to have to just kind of go with it today. So you're going to have the cute little nose, the berries, the flowers, but there's a lot of different ways that you can do this one. And it's important to think about that people aren't going to be looking at this from all angles, but you can sort of fill the little pieces underneath if you want to. So on the back side, I've painted mine brown and some sort of like yellowish antlers, but you can do yours however you like. So the way I did it was just the traditional flower crown, 3 flowers across, rose in the middle, zinnias on the side. But you could also do just sort of a corner piece with some greenery coming out on either side to give it a different look if you want to. You could even do just a duo of like 2 flowers over one side. So it's up to you. You could even do just a single flower in the center as a flower crown as well. Also the option to not even use your flowers and to use them in some other way. So what you're going to do is take your greenery bits, and you just have a little bit of greenery because there's not a lot of room to cover. So I'm cutting my greenery apart into little pieces with my scissors. You could use wire cutters. You can also just rip the pieces apart with your hands, and you just need tiny little bits that are going to serve as fillers and a base for the flower crown on the reindeer. And so I'm doing the same thing with this other piece of greenery, and what I like is it's versatile. I can use individual leaves. I can cut it into little triads or little pieces together. What I like to do is have something to be sort of the base, the end of where my flower crown goes, and I'm trying to be careful not to fully cover the ears. I want to still see them just a little bit, although once I add the flowers, you may not. And so these are going between the antlers and the ears, and I'm just hot gluing those down with a dab of hot glue. There's going to be things going on top that will add glue as well, so you don't need to go too crazy. And then I'm just trimming the bottom of my flowers. So this is to make them flat. You do not want to cut where the string is on the flower. You want to cut above that. And then you can fluff your flower out if you need to. You can even add a little bit of water. If you've decided to color your flowers, you can look at the video on how to paint your flowers to do that. This one I decided was a little bit too big. I wasn't going to be able to fit my other flowers. I'm actually taking off some of the outer petal layers. Because I'm going to be squishing the other flowers next to it, I'm not maybe going to see that I've ripped off a couple layers of the petals. So I'm just making it a little bit smaller that way. And now it looks about perfect. I'm adding a dab of glue to the bottom of the flower, and I'm gently going to hold it down for just a moment. When that's drying, I am going to come in with my little zinnias on the side. And now I am doing the full flower crown across here, but you could just do the 1 or even just 2 like I showed you before. And so again with these, make sure your bottom's decently flat. If it's going to go at a little bit of an angle, then it doesn't matter. Add some hot glue, squish it in, and then hold it down. There's going to be some room that you can see underneath, but that's what our fillers are going to be for. So I've got my greenery on the ends, and then I'll come in with those little bits that I cut earlier and put them in between to fill in any of those gaps along with berries and other little things. So I've created the base of my flower crown. I've got my flowers, I've got the little bit of greenery, and I'm just going to hold everything down and make sure it's really secure. And once it is, and again, you're seeing mine from both angles, you're not going to decorate both sides of yours, but in the effort to show you what it looks like, I am. Now I'm just taking those leaves, and I actually cut one of those longer leaves in half because I don't need the full thing and it's going to be hard to squeeze it in. So I am just putting that in one of those little gaps between the flowers. So just a little dab of hot glue. Feel free to manipulate your greenery, your fillers, however you want to. And this is the kind of thing where you can even find some cool things out in your yard. If you might have some dried flowers or little pieces of leaves or things that might be cute to add to your flower crown as well. So now I'm taking those little bits of greenery that I cut earlier, and I'm adding a dab of hot glue, taking away those strings, and I'm filling in those little gaps that you can see between the flowers and the base of the reindeer. And I don't want them poking out too far, of course, just a little bit. And so no one's going to inspect your ornament too much, but I don't like to have a ton of gaps in case someone were to be looking at it from a certain angle as well. So I'm going to do that on the top and the bottom using all those little pieces, maybe not even all of them, just 3 or 4. And it doesn't take a lot of hot glue, but you want to make sure it's enough and that it's grabbing onto something, whether it be a flower or the wood blank. And so now all you have left is to add in your accents, your berries, pine cones, any fun things you find around that you'd like to add, including your nose, like you saw on the front of the reindeer as well. So gluing in those, adding your accents, making it look super cute, and then you'll have a reindeer just like this. I just want to show you a couple examples. So here's a reindeer with 3 flowers, and we've got 2, so you can see a flower crown with 2, and then of course just another way of doing it with 2 a little bit on the side, looking super cute.